did you get involved in the project, and what really resonated with you in the story?
Oh, well, I guess what really resonated for me was, firstly on the first reading, was Frank's post-traumatic stress disorder, because I'd been in the tsunami in 2004 and I'd worked there, and then I'd had post-traumatic stress disorder from that. I'd come back and had counselling and stuff, which, you know, cleared it, and it was an amazing experience. I mean, the counselling was, the tsunami was really horrible. I think what I wanted to do, what I saw when I read the script, was the opportunity to somehow bring audiences to a closer understanding of what that could feel like, and how that can shape your life, and particularly amongst soldiers who don't really access, it's hard for them to access services, it's not really recognised, there's not many resources for them, so yeah, that was largely part of it.
That brings some sort of closure for you?
Oh, that's a really good question. It probably did in some way. I think, like, whenever you work into something and you delve into it, you enter it, you go into another level of your own process on it. So I think probably, yeah, definitely, yeah.
And you've also got a very strong cast. Did you always have certain cast members in mind, actors in mind, or did you go through a normal kind of casting process?
Yeah, we went through a normal casting process, and we were just really lucky to get Eddie, and it was lovely when Romola came on board, and Tom was amazing, and Candese was amazing, and they all just really gave of themselves in the process.
Did you expect this when you first sat down to write this script?
No, I didn't know. But, you know, I suppose every writer, when they sit down to write a script, has in their mind's eye a day like today. You know, when you hope you've made it and somebody's actually coming to see it.
Recognised it?
Yes, yeah. You know, it's absolutely wonderful. I'm very starstruck still. Yeah.
So what was the foundation of the film for you? What kind of was the spark that made you want to sit down and write it?
I came across a press release from Shelter, the charity, and it was about a practice known as cuckooing, whereby drug dealers would befriend vulnerable people, and somebody on their own who had a flat of their own or a house. They would move in, kick the occupant out, where they'd be on the streets either too frightened or frankly too dead to say anything about it. And deplorable though that this practice clearly was, it struck me at the time that it would be a very good basis for a script. So here we are, 3.5 years later.
Did you have any inclination of wanting to direct the film yourself when you first embarked on writing it?
Oh, of course I wanted to direct it. But I had to put up with somebody who actually knew how to direct it.
And Tinge, what made her the right director for your material?
Well, I'd seen Tinge's short Shadow Scan, which won a BAFTA, which is a gorgeous piece of work, and we sent her the script and she read it quickly and sat down at our first meeting kind of going, I love the script, let's make it. You know, that's a pretty good way to woo any writer, to be honest.
Flatter their ego.
Yeah, completely. And, you know, she had a great feeling for it from the word go and was very passionate about it and really got under the skin of the characters. And I think it shows in the result.
And did you have any idea at the time that Tinge had her own issues with post-traumatic stress disorder?
No, I didn't. And this emerged during as we got to know each other. And the whole post-traumatic stress thing became a central tenet of Frank, the lead character's makeup.
And how did your collaboration work? Were you present on set, or once you handed over the script, you left it in her capable hands?
It's been an enormous learning process for me, but I tended set, but it was clear. I think once you finish the writing process and it begins to be shot, as a writer, you have to move into the background and just watch along with everybody else, because I think you can only have one master chef.
And you've got a wonderful cast as well. How do you feel about that?
Well, how lucky did we get? You know, to get Eddie Marsan was wonderful. To get Romola Gari on top of that was just brilliant. To get Tom Sturridge, who I'd seen in a play called Punk Rock at Hammersmith, he was a wonderful actor in that play, and I was so excited to get him. And then, of course, to find Candese Reid, who was completely unknown, I think has given one of the most spectacular performances and is now up for a newcomer award at the festival. we got really lucky. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of talent there as well. It's just more than luck.
Thank you.
Cuckooing. Tell us more about the film. This is only one small component, obviously.
Yeah, well, it's the sort of plot. The plot is driven by a sort of social phenomenon where addicts take over the house and quite often draw the benefits of elderly people or people with disabilities, and they take over their lives. And it's relatively common, and I think there's a lot of dramatic potential in it because you have people sharing a house. It's effectively a hostage situation, and yet that those people will often live with each other for a long time, and that those relationships can become intertwined in a strange and unexpected way.
How was it? I mean, it seems a very dark subject matter. How was that for you as an actress, dealing with that on a daily basis?
I've got a small part in the film, and actually my storyline doesn't interact with that side of the film at all. But the character that I play is also an addict, and I think if you take your job seriously and you want to represent it truthfully, it's sad, and I think addiction is it's never going to be something that you feel at the end of the day like you've had a cheerful day at work. On the other hand, it's lovely to work with people that are incredibly talented, and it was a real treat for me to play the kind of part that I wouldn't normally get to play.
What kind of journey does your character go on, do you feel?
Well, I think she, without giving away too much about the story, it's about family and the coming together of family, and that's an important part of her feeling whole again. And I also think it's about people coming to terms with why they're addicts, and I think for a certain kind of generation of young people, that discovering that they need to do it in order to try and keep their lives together is part of her story, and that was all very interesting for me.
You must be a big honour being here today.
Yeah, it's amazing. I never for once thought I'd be here and be awarded for a British Newcomer Award. I never thought that would happen, you know, so it's amazing.
You've got a great opportunity acting alongside Eddie. What did you take from that experience, and what did you learn from him?
I learned a lot from Eddie. One thing Eddie told me was, if you're going to do something, be the best at it. And it's such a straightforward saying, but I've took that on board a lot. And you just got to keep striving and striving. And Eddie Marsan is an amazing example of, if you strive and strive and strive, you can become something.
Tell us, Frank, can you give us a little bit about the journey that he goes on and what you wanted to bring to the part, please?
Well, he's an ex-soldier who served in Northern Ireland, and he suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, but it's never been diagnosed. So he self-medicates through alcoholism, so he's an alcoholic. The director, Tinge, is a doctor who suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. So what she enabled me to do, I think, was to show, give as honest a portrayal we could of this condition. And to show that people like Frank, you may see people like that, and if you saw him, you'd walk on the other side of the street because you think there's something wrong with him. But really, they're just the same as you and me. They've just gone through extraordinary circumstances, and it's destroyed them. And that's what I wanted to show, really, because the character of Frank actually has a lot of integrity, a lot of heart, and a lot of compassion. But he's lost his social skills. He can't communicate anymore because of his condition.
I mean, I was going to say, you actually touched upon Tinge as well, having gone through it, and she's quite open, isn't she, about that? That must have helped you so much as an actor to really get into the nuts and bolts of who Frank is.
Completely, because she would not only explain the outward symptoms, but she would also explain what was going on inside. So the heart palpitations, the sweating, the tears, the nightmares, all that, she would explain what was going on inside. So I not only had a psychological director, I had a physiological director as well.
And also, just to touch upon, you've done big budget films as well as independent films. Do the independent films give you more freedom of expression?
No, not really. As an actor, you have to do the job regardless of who's directing it and regarding of the context, whether that be a big financial movie or a smaller budget movie. And it doesn't give you a great deal of expression. It's a different discipline, and there's a different rhythm and a different pace. But my job is to do it wherever I am, really.